Welcome in. Second week of December is underway on a Monday here. 5 minutes with Sean, maybe 10. As always, we appreciate you joining us. And we know that you have choices where you listen to your podcast. And we appreciate you spending the 5 to maybe 10 minutes with us. So today is topic number 2 that has been on the hot list here that brings me back to 2019. Training. Hi. It's back. It's back in full force. People say, "Oh, it never left." Bullshit. Absolute bullshit statement, if you believe that. For the last 3 years, people have been riding the wave, fat catting, as it were. And it's everywhere. And all I hear about is how I have to break people of bad behavior. And people who started in 2020 don't know shit about selling cars and blah, 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 blah. And we don't do training. We don't do this. We don't do a lot of people still do their own internal training. I have groups that do it. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the outsourced training, the hiring of trainers to come into your dealership is back. It had fallen off a little bit. I know, big time trainers. You don't have to tell me. I know you're always busy. I get it. But from the majority of conversation, what clicks in the ear, what clients are talking about, the word training has been absolutely everywhere recently. I mean, everywhere. Ourselves, after being social, our client in Madison, Wisconsin, invited us out to train their salespeople on social media, individual content creation, editing. It was badass fun. Me and Jeff Hunter put on quite the show over 2 days, 4 different segments. It was a ton of fun. It was a ton of fun. And it reminded me of why I didn't start a training company 11 years ago, is because the concept of it isn't necessarily scalable in a way that I wanted to scale my life at that time. But what I tell people now is I look at training as an opportunity to give back and have fun. I'll stop you there. This isn't the Red Cross. I don't do it for free. But I am here to give back to an industry that has done nothing but give to me for the last 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. And don't get me wrong, it's taken from me as well. Okay, so this is it's a pretty fair give and take relationship, me and the car business. But anyways, so training. So the social training came up. I've had clients ask me about where they can get variable training. Our CRM product was sort of born out of the concept of variable training, but more of an ongoing weekly email to remind you of opportunities that exist, why they exist, and how you can help take advantage of those opportunities when they show up in the future, as well as right now in front of you. Because once again, a lot of what ails us is things that we can definitely control, but don't. And the reason that we don't is because how does anyone know? And so that leads me into this last one. So the idea of leadership. I had an amazing client of ours reach out, partner, friend at this point. I mean, I consider us friends. They reached out and they said, "Look, we're looking to do leadership training. Who do you know?" So as someone who likes to dive in and dig in for people, I did that. I dug in and I started just finding inconsistencies without customization. And I knew that this particular group really wanted something they could put their own twist on. So, long story short, when we launched our CRM product with my guy, Josh Sack, the main reason we did it, because this product existed back in 2019, had a good buddy running it then who went off to do great things in another industry, but the product died because if a product gets created outside of my hands within my company, if that individual leaves, I can't take it on personally, and it's difficult to find replacements for people who have passion and knowledge for the niche things that we typically launch out. So when the chance came to dive back into this product, it was a cool story. It happened like fun, like they always do. I don't believe in coincidence, so it happened how it was supposed to. But anyhow, it became a discussion of leadership, and so Josh and I were sitting around talking. He says, "But why is it still an issue?" Well, it's still an issue because how do they know? We promote salespeople to managers. Okay, so that's the lineup, right? And then managers get promoted to general managers. But if no one showed them back here as a salesperson how to utilize the CRM specifically, I'm talking to you guys. Well, I want leadership. Okay, you're looking for quotes and shit. I'm not your guy. Okay, I can tell you that I've grown in the word of leadership as an adult because I used to manage by numbers and not by people, and now I manage by both, and it gets me a lot further. But anyways, leadership. The idea of it for us is managing at 30,000 feet, being able to help others be autonomous and be their own manager and boss, and help them understand what it will be like if they do in fact get promoted to manager and boss. At the Zimrick Automotive Group, they call it basically identifying your bench, understanding who is the next level. And then in their organization, they bring them in to leadership training. It's not what they call it, but it's more about just cultivation and learning through it. So that is part of leadership. And so what I found interesting about this request from the client was that it was sort of something that is difficult to track, slightly ambiguous in what it is, leadership, right? It's a buzzword. We all know it. But what could it mean? How could we measure it? What could we do with it? And then that led me to thinking about my man, Brandon Wilkinson at the Bannister Auto Group, Vancouver. They are truly committed. He is like the director of leadership, people, like a real title, like a job. And they have all kinds of ways of holding everyone accountable and wanting people to give a shit. Because at the end of the day, I think the majority of people in our industry want this sort of training. Now, one of the other caveats to this was training and teaching empathy, which again is something that I can tell you personally. I am not a doctor, but I have grown in the world of empathy, I would say by 1,000% in my lifetime. I used to not be empathetic, sympathetic. I was strictly money driven, which I know a lot of people in the car business, a lot of managers are. But our point here is that we have to be in 2025. And that's what we're trying to do. We want managers of 25 and beyond. That's what we're trying to create. The idea of taking old school approaches, showing you why new school approaches, where they win, how they win, helping them execute is huge. So anyways, the training all encompassing sounded like a lot, looked like a lot, but didn't seem like there was a lot of good options. So I approached the client and I said, hey, we've been kind of working on this in a different way. And then, she had mentioned that she's got some cool things she's doing over here with some AI and some internal stuff. And we were looking to put it all together. And then we just we melded on a call. This is only like a 30-minute call, people. And it just sort of clicked. And I said, look, if you're willing to do this, I'm willing to do that. She's willing to give it a shot. So we're going to dig in. We're going to see if we can't help design a training for leadership for an organization customized to them. Because again, we're a resource company. Okay. That's what Car Biz Done Better is. It is a resource company meant to help our dealer client partners or new ones accomplish whatever it is they want. CRMs, social, data management. I've got it, people. We're here for you. But I have to, here's the whole thing for me on training. And I waited till the 8-minute mark of the show to say it because I want you to hopefully have been engaged to this point. The biggest question we have is why and for what are you trying to train? Because to hire someone to come in, the day train, to sit here and tell you and get you excited to rah-rah you, dude, call me. I could do that for you. It's useless. No one cares, okay? No one cares. There has to be some more reason to it. And then on top of that, you have to know how you're going to measure it. Because just training to train is a waste of everyone's time without consistent follow-up to the training messaging. And above all else, training at a dealership takes top-down buy-in. I mean, the tippy top has to buy down, and all the way down the chain, there can be no alteration. It has to be, yes, we believe in training. Yes, we believe in training. Yes, we believe in training. All the way back up all the way back up the shaft, all the way down the shaft. That has to happen, because if it doesn't, if there is anywhere people can stop and get off on a floor of no training, they will do it and they will run with it and they will use that as an example not to train. In our training, we made it very clear. We know no one wants to be here. We get it. We get it. But if we're going to be here, let's have some fun. Let's learn some shit. Let's not sit on our hands. Let's be engaging of one another. That's what we believe true training is. It's why we put on Being Social in the first place. It was an idea of not so much training as it was feedback, real world examples of what's happening, what's working, along with a conversation of people who live it every single day. So if you are someone who is considering the word training, you must ask yourself, why am I considering it? For what? And how will I measure it? Those are the things that matter when you get into training. So I'm all about it. Trust me, call me. I'm happy to give you some referrals on certain training. We got some great trainers in the fixed ops world that are coming up. There's a lot of great things happening there, again, around training. So if every department's talking about training, it must be 2019. Thank you guys so much for indulging me on the topic. We look forward to another great week together, and we will see you next week on 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10.